All right, we are live. Okay, welcome everybody to my monthly broadcast, second Sunday. I am Jessica Ahlstrom, and today we are live streaming from a couple different places. YouTube, welcome. Facebook, welcome. And obviously jessicaahlstrom.com. This is a really interesting broadcast, and I would highly recommend that if you're not someplace where you can really kind of sit in this conversation, to save this for later when you can really process, because I am going to be bringing in 3 different solid messages for you guys this month. And every month, what I try to do is kind of tap into the collective, using my intuition and guidance and deep meditation, and kind of see where we are collectively. Now, if you've been following me for the past, 6 or 7 years, I have been doing these second Sunday broadcasts. And basically, I have been secretly coding each message, getting us ready for the time that we are sitting in right now. We are in very essential times of change. Now, I know that you're all aware of that. That's not a psychic reading there. But the way we see everything has so much to do with the world that we're creating, because, you are having a very unique experience with all of this, you particularly. Now, the person sitting next to you is having a completely different experience, and the person across the street, and the person down the street. And you've probably noticed a huge division in awareness. You've probably noticed, that some people are extremely angry by people that are not following the rules. And then there are another group of people who are very, very upset and very enraged about what they are uncovering down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theories. And then there's another group of people who are literally bracing and meditating and looking within and diving down deep to work on solutions to what all of these changes mean to us individually. Now, I have created a confidential webinar that goes down deep into the history of Earth, the beginnings of this holographic experience that we're having. Some call it the Matrix. Some people call it hell on Earth. It feels like both. If you've seen the movie or if you've experienced church, it's kind of what it feels like. And if you are a follower of the Bible, it's pretty hair-raising and goosebumpy how on point everything is kind of manifesting itself as right now. So we are in the times of the prophecy. We are basically sitting smack dab at the center point of the X marks the spot of where we will be as a fork in the road, as a collective, as a species, right? As a soul, as a human, right? And we are sitting in that space. So this webinar that I created is probably not ever going to be released anytime soon in a public forum, just because understanding that certain information is very triggersome and can disturb belief systems within people. And if they're not ready and willing and asking for the information, it is not my job to supply it unless someone is asking. When you ask, it's given. So I actually have a community all over the world, and people have been a part of that community for years now. And that is really where I have an opportunity to share what is going down below the surface in a environment that's asking. And I know that you're trying to educate your family and friends right now about what's going on. And if they're not asking, they're probably very upset with you because they're not asking. And you have to understand that in this big awareness game, that it really is about education as far as knowledge equals power. And you cannot try to educate a kindergarten level of awareness from a PhD of 20 years of spiritual experience or journeying or intuition, because you're basically arguing with someone who speaks a different language with you. And that is something that you have to sit with within and allow and surrender, as far as someone's making a very solid choice. And because Earth is moved into her 5th ascension process, the 5th dimension, it is a game of choice now. It is a game of awareness, a choice, opportunity. Frequency and vibration has never been as adamant towards the light as it has been now in this time and space. Things are coming to light. Things are being exposed. Now, you have to understand that the things that are being exposed, which I go into deeply in this webinar, these things are not new. This is not like it's just been going on since, Hillary Clinton decided to be born. These things have been going on our planet since, depending on which timeline you look at, millions of years versus hundreds of years versus thousands of years. I would say we're somewhere in the middle, because Earth is the living library and she contains all aspects of free will choice. Every species in the entire universe can find suit and home within the dwellings of Earth, which means there's an underworld, an overworld, and a middle world. And you could call yourself sitting right in the middle. Okay. Therefore, from that position, I want to give you guys 3 different timeline readings as far as what's going to happen to us. That is the greatest question that I've been getting emailed, messaged, text messages, just what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And really, I'm going to look you dead in the eye and I'm going to tell you that what happens to us is specifically designed to what you believe about yourself. You on the whole Love and Light campaign, or you in the whole Save Humanity campaign, or wherever you find yourself dwelling towards your belief systems, it's really time for you to look within and decide where you want to be. Because you preach constantly that we create our own reality and that everything is a choice and we have free will and I'm the light, and I work for God and I am a representative of the universe. But if you dive down deep into your gut and really let your gut tell you what your mind thinks about you, it might be a different story. So the coming to action is not so much about getting super upset and getting super angry about where we are in creation right now, but diving down deep and figuring out where you are in your personal creation. Okay? Because if you technically do, which you do, create your own reality, obviously when we came in, we created it from a default program, just like a smartphone comes to you with preloaded apps. There are apps that you're sitting with. There are programs that you're sitting in. Collective, bloodline, lineage, ancestry, right? Mom and dad, upbringing, whether that be the church or the school or whatever you were involved in those first, 7 to 14 years of developing that personality identification within yourself. All your cells and your muscles and your tissues and your organs, everything migrated into the belief of what you truly believe you are. And then you create a vibration out of that. And this vibration that you create out of that is basically what is creating your physical reality that you see as a feedback system of this holographic space. Now, most of us, excuse my language, had a pretty shitty childhood. Not all of us. Some of us had great childhoods and ended up with a narcissist halfway through. But whether you started off good or went through a bad patch in your 20s and 30s, it really doesn't matter, because the incarnation that we stepped into was a game of suffering, bottom line. So it's a 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. It's a comfortable slavery opportunity. It's we keep you overfed to keep you addicted to your paycheck, to the drugs and the food, to the medicine that your body needs because you're sick, to the relationships that you seek because you feel empty inside, because we have literally separated you from your intuition before you were 7 years old. So you need people, places, and things in order to feel safe and whole within yourself. That's the construct of the matrix that we wiggled our way into. Now, light workers, I laugh at this when you guys get so offended and so flabbergasted over what is happening, when part of you is technically from the future looking back at this, coming to resolve old karmic energy within and coming to settle the score. Literally, we have come to become the light in the dark. We did not come to judge the dark. We did not come to hate the dark. We did not come to fight the dark. If you are really love and light and you are really from Source Energy or Sirius or the Pleiadians or, Arcturus, you did not come here to fight. You are way more evolved than that. You are here to bring the frequency and vibration of your soul as a seed into this space and illuminate through conscious awareness of your expertise, of your spiritual gift, of your knowing, whether that's taking care of our lands, taking care of our children, taking care of our bodies, taking care of each other, taking care of Mother Nature, whatever it is that you came and fell into suit as was your job. Now, as the timeline shifts, I understand that the shadows have to come to light, and anger is grief's bodyguard. Okay, and what is grief? Grief is homeless love. So when we crawl through anger, we find grief. And that leads me to my 3 channeled messages that I have today. If you've been a part of my community or you speak Jess, you understand that I really like to keep things simple in a quantum universe that can be really hard for the physical mind to understand, because your brain and mind collaboration work in a linear sequence of information. And the universe just is not constructed that way. So when we're educating from a quantum perspective, we've got to try to break it down so the analytical and logical mind can defer and differentiate between what the heck I'm talking about, right? So as we kind of break down this formula of creation, we understand that our soul is always pure and whole and always resides in a state of perfection and completeness. I call it the isness. It is completion. It is, it just is, it is perfect, right? That there is a part of you. Now there's another part of you that seeks the contrast and experience and adventure of a different reality, right? Kind of like the child that wants to dress up for Halloween. I want to be something different. Well, the soul wants to experience a different perspective of itself. And therefore, a spark of that soul breaks off. And we call that the inner child or the God spark, right? The inner child. This is going to be very important as I get through my my conversation today, and for you to be able to identify with the big grand message. I told you guys in January when you started your vision quest, it was going to be the inner child that saves this planet. And as I get to my conclusion of today's talk, this will make sense. So as we have separated ourselves into 3 identity constructs and 3 versions of ourselves that reside in the physical field of consciousness, physically focused here on Earth, we are higher self or our soul or our essence or spirit. We are the fractal of that resides in physicality. We call the God spark or the inner child within. And then we have the break away from that. As you can see, we go from super consciousness to conscious to unconscious threshold of the ego identity. And the ego identity is the representation of you that has been abused to the point of unremembering God or unremembering itself as source or unremembering itself as spirit. So it has disassociated itself from the idea that it is creation itself. So we have 3 levels of consciousness: the me, my ego, the inner child, the myself, and the I am, the higher self, just to brief you guys, or if you're new to my work. And this just allows me one perspective to help you guys understand that you are vibrating in 3 different directions constantly, depending on where you are physically focused and basically who's driving the vehicle. Is inner child driving the vehicle? Is ego driving the vehicle? Or is higher self driving the vehicle? Well, in my community, I teach that it's the merging and the integration of the 3 that creates you the divine mastery of manifestation in physical reality, which means when you merge into the higher self, the inner child, and the ego, when we heal the ego and we remind ego of who it is and we give ego a new job, move out of suffering into thriving, a merging happens. And this is technically called scientifically the Christ consciousness, when God embodies the physical form and all of our limitations begin to move away. Okay. So with this aspect of the me, myself, and I, what I wanted to do today was a unique perspective of giving you 3 timeline channeled readings from 3 different perspectives. I'm going to channel the human ego, I'm going to channel the inner child, and I'm going to channel the higher self. And I'm going to share from 3 different perspectives, 3 different choices that you have in where and what happens to us. Because at the end of the day, the personal vibration that you are creating through your own energetic field, a combination of source energy, electromagnetic energy, which is your human magnet, your desire, the essence of contrast, the wanting to experience the new, and the absolute lack that sits within you at the deepest level, all are creating from the outside of you, inside perspective, a reflection. Okay? So a lot of people come to me and say, oh, I'm positive and I'm just not manifesting what I want. Well, you have to understand that you have three aspects of yourself. You have the aspect of yourself that's never gotten what you want, who's not been seen or heard, who has been hurt and abused, rejected and abandoned, who holds memories of failure, who holds old pain within its body of its family dynamic, its humiliation factor of not being allowed to be authentic or being heavily judged for the way we look or feel or speak. Okay? That is the aspect of you. And that begins to go into a sediment space deep within you. And it begins to harden like rock within our consciousness. And because it doesn't feel good, the essence of the ego, we begin to bury it and we begin to try to build a life on top of this ego identity that is created. And this conscious reality that is formed on top of us, we believe is us because it's our threshold, it's our motivation, it's our willingness to show up, it's our seek for love, it's our search for community and family and connection. But it doesn't really work out that way, does it? Because what is below is always growing roots and weeds into your reality. And the essence of the higher self that remains physically focused outside the veil is always beckoning you from completion. Look, I know the way. This is already done. It's already completed. Follow me. But that information resides in your gut, right? So if I was going to say, let me describe the me, myself, and I as far as where that's vibrating in your physical body to understand it more of a linear experience. The I am is the representation of that gut knowing, okay? It's a subtle whisper. It is not loud. It is a subtle remembering. It is a subtle awareness. It is a subtle intuition. Now we move up into the heart space. That is a representation of the inner child that sees no color. It sees no judgment. It lives in absolute forgiveness and understanding. It desires to be seen, heard, loved, and desires to be safe and free to be allowed to express the love within its own heart. And then we move up to the mind, which is the castle of the ego. And the mind, because it is designed in a linear perspective, it does not see different perspectives of itself. It only sees what it believes itself to be. And because it does not reside in the present moment with the inner child or the future potentials of reality, it resides in the backstory. It resides in the taking score of who you are and who you are not. And it keeps playing out those reels over and over and over again. And that's kind of putting a monkey wrench in your ability to create. All right. So I think what I'll do is I will work from the top backwards. I'm not going to start with the worst possible story. I'm going to start with the best possible scenario. Okay, because at the end of the day, your job is to integrate the me, myself, and I and become the brightest light that you can become within yourself. No more hiding, no more shaming, no more judging, no more critical thinking of yourself, right? And what happens is if you turn your light all the way up, you become invisible to darkness. And I know some of you are terrified of the dark, right? Regardless of what timeline you're looking at that makes you afraid, it doesn't matter. But if you turn your light all the way on, it will blind the darkness. That's why when you're in your lightest places, you irritate the heck out of the dark. You irritate negative people. You irritate people who want to be afraid. You irritate fear. So when you are vibrating from a place of integration of the me, myself, and I, you are unlimited in your potential to create, and you are untouchable. This is important because some of you are not turning your lights on because you're terrified. Okay? And when I say turn your light on, I mean turn the light on into your own shadow, illuminate the dark spaces within your own heart. Illuminate the spaces within your own gut and your own mind, and bring space for the light body to enter and illuminate, which is displayed in your example, your talk, your walk, right? Your feeling, your ability to communicate, your ability to sustain yourself. You're building a creational universe inside out, and it is beginning to illuminate everything around itself. See, you are not stuck in the matrix. You're not looking up going, when are the aliens going to come take us home? Because you are the universe that decides what is going to happen to us within your own conscious belief structure. Your beliefs dictate the reality that you see, because there are a lot of people living on this planet right now that are blissed out beyond their absolute mind and are using that bliss and that joy and that love and that anchoring of awareness and that completion state of the I am to radiate out, sending a signal, a beacon of light to anyone and everyone who is a vibrational match to that, who then begins to awaken. You know, because it is not selfish to build a life that is abundantly free for yourself, because that's how you show the others how it's done. You cannot preach from a victim place. You cannot preach from lack and tell people they create their own reality. They won't believe you because you're not doing it. Your job from the highest perspective is to dive down deep within yourself and heal your inner child. You know, all of this trafficking that's coming to light, and it's Save the Children, and it's this metaphor of this experience. And I'm not downplaying what's happening on the planet, because it's beyond sick. But what happened to your inner child, right? Because you would not actually technically be affected. You would be, if you are soul conscious, completely integrated into higher self, you would be in a total state of neutrality, and you would know exactly what to do to save all the children. But if you drop down into disgust and fear and victim energy and blame, what vibrations are those? Those are the vibrations of your ego mentality. Those are the vibrations of the fear mentality. That is the vibration of the dark. So when you drop out, even though you're thinking it's coming from a good, loving place, you have to understand that love in 3D or love in the matrix is designed as love is pain. So it hurts you to see these children suffer when you are suffering yourself. So the message from higher self is what is going to happen to us. Higher self's message directly to you is your frequency and your vibration, your chronic state of being is going to decide what happens to you. So if you are vibrating lack and blame, if you are vibrating fear and judgment, if you are vibrating shame, if you are vibrating unconsciousness, then you will build out of that many different possibilities of creating a life out of those building materials. Because what you see through your quantum expression is the reality that is generated for you. For you, what you are seeing is designing your reality. And you're saying, well, Jess, everybody on Facebook believes what I believe. Well, let me understand how creation works. Because of the idea of quantum entanglement, belief systems cluster together and build collectives. And when belief systems come together and build collectives, the collective beliefs gets bigger and bigger and bigger and builds a community out of that collective belief structure. Now we're all commiserating together. Now we're all in judgment together. Now we're all worried together. Now we're all sick together. Now we're all hopeless together. Now we're all victims together. And what we've done is we've taken the power of potential of the entire universe and blamed something that we're seeing and synced up with someone else who is in blame. And now we are in agreement that that is the truth. When in a quantum universe, only possibilities and potential is truth. Limitations is disguised consciousness awakening and desiring you to come forth to create something out of the lack. It is never about what is. It is always about the potential of what could be. So yes, your belief system can be honored through the wonderful field of social media, and you can all commiserate, and you can all complain, and you can all divide, and you can all segregate, and you can become at war with your neighbors, and you can judge each other for having different belief systems and being different classrooms at different stages of your awakening. Or you could drop down into your gut and move into your heart and make some space from all of the pain that has been sitting there your whole life. And remember, put yourself back together. Put your mind back into a flow of consciousness, the stream of who you are. And remember that love wins. And how does love win? By being love, by being the I am that you say you wish to create. What is the example that you would like to give the world? Who is that? Yes, you may have renegade energy. You may be part of the Galactic Federation of Light. So there's a warrior combat within you. But the only ammunition you have in this time and space, as far as the Earth being in the fifth dimension, is choice. And if you only have a choice, and you have no guns, and you have no ammo, and you have no voice, you have your heart. You have your heart. And from this perspective, your gut knows that you need to be diving down deep into the shadow realms within yourselves that are being poked and prodded by what you're witnessing outside of you, and move what the circumstances and events are outside of you, and move into a space of remembering why you are here and why you came. You have always been different. You have always been the second coming. The second coming is here to remind the planet who it is. It is to help awaken those who are suffering. And it is here to be a solid example of what that energy of God is through our personal representation. What we do, what we say, what we believe, what we communicate. I know this sounds very tough, but where this is the information coming from higher self. You're saying easier said than done, Jess. Well, I'm going to show you some different perspectives on how to get there. Now, you cannot fight for peace. In order to be working in a quantum universe, you have to be that which you would like to create to see, which means peace equals peace. Okay? Love equals love. Like attracts like. Turn your light down and suffer because of what you're seeing, or turn your light up and illuminate everyone and everything around you so that they may become more aware. Because, if you walked into a dark room, nobody could see anything. But if you turn the light on, you could see, and everyone else who had eyes could see as well. So by you turning on the light in a very dense environment, you are illuminating, yes, things that people do not want to see, but you are also illuminating opportunities. You are illuminating possibilities. You are walking as if. You are demonstrating in a realm of hell what heaven could look like. And you're holding that vibration, because when you drop into your heart and you remember from a gut space, a feeling space, what the potential of you is, what we can do together, and you hold your information through your gut and heart sequence, the mind begins to become the master of the I am. It becomes the master of the inner child. And through that place, you have to go to the end and look through imagination of what you would like this planet to look like. And you have to hold that awareness in the inside space of your own universe. Now that goes against everything you're taught, right? You're taught to look at what is. You're taught to take score and take stock of everything around you, then create your desire, then create your imagination, and then create your reality. It does not work that way. You cannot desire something from a broken, painful, lack, abused state of being into creation, because what you will do is you will be desiring from a place of lack. You will be building your manifestation from lack. So what you have to do is you have to go to the inner child. The inner child is the spark of creation that can exist in the physical and non-physical realms. It is the spirit that walks and talks through you and has an open heart for experience and adventure. It sees no judgment. It sees no color. It sees no separation from itself. And because it is the governess and governor of the heart chakra, the heart happens to be telepathic. And the heart, which is telepathic, can communicate to every other heart in this universal grid of creation. Which means when you are in your mind going, what can I do to help the world? And maybe if I share this horrible story online, it will wake everybody up, right? Or you could drop into your heart. You could remember the child inside of you that has been taken and abused and disassociated and locked in a cellar by your own ego and starved, right? And God knows what else that you've done to yourself. You could move down into that space within your heart. You could remember who you are as a child. You could remember that when you were a child and you wanted to play and dance and sing and love everyone and have everyone love you back because of how bright you shine. If you can remember that child within, that is where your imagination should be coming from. Now, if you look at a child, they do not take what is as a circumstance to build through their imagination, a game or a play event. They dive down deep within themselves and they build something from scratch. Your job is to build something from scratch, because what is going to happen to you is based on what your probabilities of your chronic belief structures. That is what's going to happen to you. So if you believe that anything is possible, and you believe in the fairy tale, and you believe and remember from your gut whispering up to you that love wins, and it's our time for us to move through the dark forest, the dark night of the soul, the path of hell, walk into heaven. What would that look like? What would that feel like? And we have a remembering and a knowing that sometimes is very hard for us to find, especially when we're looking at what is. But if we can dive down deep into that place and we can remember from the inner child's perspective what true imagination is, I imagine my nation, an army of magicians. That is what the true inner child is. I imagine my nation. I create, I play. Have you ever been playing with a child and they have a way that they want to be playing a certain game? And they go, Mom, you're messing it up. You got to play it like this. You got to play it my way. You got to do it like this. You're doing it wrong. And that is the perfect analogy of the inner child, because the reality that you would like to create has to come from an original place. It has to come from a soul place, not a memory place. It cannot come from what's happening outside of you. It has to be birthed from the newness of what could be possible in all the dark void. In a dark void, everything is possible. All there is floating potential. All there is possibilities. And from a child's perspective, that is an endless game of wonder and an endless game of creation. So how do you choose to see? And how much time are you spending in that state of imagination? How much time are you spending from a place of perfection? Are you using your imagination? Because my guess is that about 99.9% of the time, you are using your visualizations and imagination to create from what is. And you're trying your best to be positive from a negative scenario. And a negative and a positive, guys, it creates neutrality. So the universe and the law of attraction can't respond to neutrality. So it delivers nothing. All right. And now that charge of pain and suffering and starvation and grief that is inside of your heart right now, if you try to create from that place, that's like a wounded child trying to pretend. It gets really old. You lose your vision. You get frustrated. You turn back to social media and you want to know who else is going to jail and you want to know who else is going there, when you are here to create the reality of your choice. So if you're taking the lead on what is going to happen to you based on what is happening on social media, I can tell you, you're creating a reality and a community for yourself in the future that looks very similar, if not worse. Right? This is some like major tough love here, coming from your inner child, saying, let me play. Let me heal. Remember me. Remember who I am. I am here to create within you. And if I am connected through the heart chakra, I am also connected to all of the other children that are not free, that are underground, that are in jail cells, that are in basements, that are in suffering. I can communicate to them through my heart chakra because my heart is telepathic. And if I can raise my personal vibration through my heart chakra, and I can send a message to all of the other children in the universe that is playing out this incarnation, then I can send a signal for them to raise their vibration. And you know what the dark doesn't like? A high vibration. You know what? Darkness will cringe and release you if your vibration is too high. If your vibration is too high, they can't see you. So it does no justice for us to condemn our inner childs, suffocate our inner childs, let our ego mentality step forth and try to create war on all of this things that are happening on the planet from a place of pain, lack, and suffering. If you really do create your reality, you've got to get more specific on what you're looking at. What do you see here? What is the potential? Because the potential that I see from my inner child's reality is that through my personal awareness and the awareness that I can create in my community through a collective, we can raise the vibration of the inner child. And if the vibration of the inner child will rise, then I will speak to every other inner child in this universe, and we will all become a collective of, I fear not, I create my own reality. I create opportunities. I create safety. I create joy. I create love. I create opportunities for expansion. I create family. I create abundance. I create freedom. Which means I can send an SOS through my heart to every child in the universe, and they will get the message. But who gets the message from you when you're suffering? I'm going to tell you who gets the message from you. And we're going to be turning to the ego identity. And the ego identity thrives in blame. Its favorite frequency is blame. Because as long as my ego identity is in blame, I don't have to take personal responsibility for what I've done to my inner child. I don't have to take personal responsibility for my backstory. I can project myself and be disgusted and be, I can condemn those who have done most disgusting things in the universe. And I can spend my life mission hunting them down and sharing stories that trigger and turn other people into anger and grief because I'm angry and grief. Okay. And the ego within you does not remember God. It does not remember source energy. It does not remember that you are creator. It does not want to be part of that because it has been disassociated from you and it is unconscious. Unconsciousness is ignorance. Ignorance is suffering. Suffering is pain, and pain is violence. Okay. What kind of violence has this brought up within you? What kind of pain and disgust? How many of you have thrown up over watching what you've seen? You know, how many of you are sitting in extreme blame for being lied to? How many of you are in complete disgust and judgment over the things that you thought were safe, the people you thought were safe, who had your best interest in mind, actually don't? This kind of behavior feeds the ego because what it says to me and my ego, it says, it's your fault I'm suffering. You took my freedom. You took my money. You took my child. You took this. You took that. And then on the same platform, Love and Lighters go teach in their communities that they create their own reality. So if I'm going and teaching that I create my own reality and then I'm blaming my government or I'm blaming, you know, the Illuminati or whatever is being blamed here, then I can project my free will outside of me. I can hand over the keys to creation and I can sit in a state of blame that feels really juicy and good to me because I don't want to take responsibility for having to create what I was unconscious for. We have all been unconscious playing this game of the Matrix, feeling quite safe and comfortable, yet in excruciating pain. We didn't really even know what kind of pain we were in because the whole idea of the ego mentality is to keep you comfortably uncomfortable. So you will become a slave and a workhorse and you will show up because you need that paycheck. You need that medicine, right? You need that relationship. You will keep showing up and you will be bled dry your entire life because of you have something that the dark wants. And what you have that the dark wants, that ego builds itself out of, is fear. Every major movie you could ever see that's a horror movie, the dark part, the serial killer, the clown under the ground or whatever, is always thriving on fear. And once that person takes their power back halfway through the movie, they remember who they are and game over. This is no different than any horrible Hollywood script. This is exactly like a horrible Hollywood script because it is designed as virtual reality. Therefore, the more afraid you are, the more worried you are, the more disgusted you are, the more in blame you are, the more victim you are, the more in lack you are, the more you are feeding this darkness. Okay? Now, we're at a critical point right now in creation. The world is waking up. Everybody is waking up, but doesn't mean that they're waking up to a PhD that you might be holding. They might be waking up to kindergarten. They might be waking up to a kindergarten awareness, and they might be shoved right into all of the things that they're seeing. A very, very messy room, a very bloody situation, a very big crime scene, and that is what they're waking up to. So it is your job, if you've been on this journey for a while, like I have, it is your job to say, okay, we've already been there, experienced that. Let me show you the way out of hell. And the way out of hell is going to be the opposite of what ego wants to do with you. Because what is going to happen to us? I'm going to tell you what happens if you choose ego to drive your vehicle into the next 6 months. If you allow your ego to be the driver of your vehicle, you will produce enough fear to be able to build a new virtual reality that they call 3D imprisonment, which means you will build a new world for yourself because you are a creator that is designed at the fabric of your belief systems. The fabric of your reality will be created through your belief systems, your chronic belief systems, your fears, your desires, your shame, your guilt, your worry, your doubt, your mistrust, and your judgment. Can you imagine what life looks like for that? So that does not look very good, okay? Because it is splitting and it's very noticeable. You got someone yelling at you that says they want to kill you for not wearing a mask down the street. And then you got someone over here who's going, well, I don't really see the point of wearing a mask because, sunlight kills a virus. Hello. And then you got someone over there who wouldn't even have a conversation with either of them. So who do you choose to be in that scenario determines which earth you will be residing on. Now, when this splits, which it already technically has, and you're vibrating a conscious awareness within you to either jump timelines and quantum leap into a space where love is chosen and imagination is produced from within you, not outside of you, that it is not, your imagination cannot come from your observer. It has to come from a new place. It has to come from a story that you used to know when you were a child, where love wins, and there's a place that looks like utopia and heaven that you can spend time with. And you can call to the children from your heart, and you can send them light, which gets their vibration higher so they can escape the darkness. Because we have a few people on this planet that are doing that, and we are holding space night and day, night and day, night and day. Yesterday was the final day of the 8-8 portal of Lionsgate. And what this energy is it's a very, very powerful spiritual energy where the veil becomes very thin and the gateways of different timelines begin to open up and renew based on where people's belief systems are. So as of yesterday, we've got all new timelines opening up based in what people are chronically thinking about. You will be merged into the reality and the world that you are most likely creating from your chronic level of belief and feeling. So if you're waking up sick and disgusted all day long, you're creating your new reality out of that. If you're saying, okay, I'm becoming aware of what's been going on this planet for a really long time, and that's why I actually came to be part of this solution, what could I do to vibrate? What tools do I have in my toolbox? How could I get really creative when there is no hope for humanity? How could I hope for humanity when there's no hope for humanity? I have to do it from the inside. It's an inside game. It's incognito, it's disguised, it's undercover, and it's designed to get inside and explode like dynamite. You are designed to get into the little bit of coal and explode yourself, and what would be left would be the diamond. That is what we came to do as alchemists here on this planet at this time, at the fifth stage of creation, which is the fifth dimension, which is choice, allowance, surrender, and play. Play. This is where you think, oh, how could I be playing when there's millions of children, underground having experiments on them? Well, you've been playing your whole life, right? Just because you didn't know. So go to the place where you can actually be in your state of power and work from your heart chakra down into your root chakra and move the energy out of that area into the crown and remember through higher self. Okay? Because if the three of you can work together and you can say, ego, we're no longer going to look at what is and be disgusted. We're going to be part of the solution. So your new job is to create things for us to do, play, abundance for us to expend, investments in our own light so we can shine brighter, a daily routine that gives me a healthy, strong, consistent body because all children need have roots and wings. I need to know I'm safe, but I also need to know I'm free. And it is your job, ego, to provide that for me. Go. Now, obviously, this is what we're doing in my big workshop called Vision Quest. We are giving the ego a new job. We are promoting it from suffering agent to thriving assistant. And it is all programmable because it's unconsciousness. And if I bring light to my unconsciousness, now it is conscious. So it is my job to become the consciousness of myself and resurrect myself, which you got the perfect story in March to do, and step forward and become the change. Now, you're saying, well, what does that mean for my outside life? You need to spend as much time in creation and imagination and play and abundance and freedom as you possibly can. Okay? And when you do that, your light begins to get brighter and you'll notice how many people are triggered around you by that. Let them be triggered. Rats scurry when the lights turn on. Let them run away. Let them judge you. Let them hate on you. Hold your position. Protect the inner child within yourself by allowing him to shine. So what is going to happen to you is based on what you truly believe is going to happen to you. You're either going to build a new reality out of complete suffering, which you will basically be a very uncomfortable slave, okay? You will build a life of potential and play that you get to navigate and build through connection, through awareness, through love, through divinity, through allowance. And that will be illuminated to you from the higher self, who will finally be able to step in and be the true parent within you. And ego will become your assistant in your daily routine to make sure that you are a safe child who gets fed and loved and lots of attention and lots of play. And you will build a new reality out of that because love does win. And there is already an earth that is completely set up because there's a lot of people holding space for this. They have built a collective where this exists. And because this is a holographic universe, I can create hell. I can create heaven right inside of hell. And from the inside out, I can explode. And I can destroy hell, which is just a form of belief. It's all a mind war. And I can resurrect my true self, my spark, my higher consciousness. I can be an example of light. I can work on my own fear. I can dive deep into my own shadow and illuminate my own darkness. And therefore, new ideas, new genius, new potentials, new information will arrive through me, through my Akashic space of remembering all of my divinity. And then I will know exactly how to create the new world because I've spent so much time in my imagination and not the world's imagination. So what's going to happen to you is based on what you do, say, be, watch, feel, and demonstrate. So that comes up to you because I am living one reality and I will continue to one reality, and my neighbor is going to continue to live their reality. And eventually things will shift and things and people will disappear. About a third of the population will technically disappear. And that timeline will be done. And those people who have chosen that will go away. And it will look like a fresh start. It will look like, wow, nobody's really complaining. Wow, love really did win. It'll look like stepping over the ashes, except instead of a totally burnt down world, we'll have a vibrant, fairy tale-esque, through the child's imagination, a world of harmony. You're like, okay, Jess, this sounds like crazy talk. What else do you got? Right? You say you understand quantum physics. You say you understand creation. You say you create your own reality. You say you are the creator. You say you believe in God. You say you believe in all these things. What are you actually truly buying into if you're not resonating with anything I'm saying right now? Right? Call me a false prophet, whatever. I'm just telling you that who I am and what I know is I'm a fractal of the me, myself, and I. And through creation and integration, I can create the spark within me to illuminate the world in that which I choose to see. Okay? So I have some fun little games for you guys to get back to your inner child. Now, everybody that I know in my community has some sort of spiritual gifts, and we all do, but it's whether or not you unpack your own bags, right? And display that within yourself. A lot of you speaking light language now. A lot of you are, writing light language. A lot of you are singing and dancing. A lot of you are using art as part of your therapy. A lot of you are healing and teaching. So some of the recommendations that I got yesterday in my downloads were that if you do speak light language, right? I know there's a lot of world meditations and there's a lot of world protests going on, and that's fantastic as long as it's directed at love instead of pain. But one of the things that you need to remind yourself is through how the child heals itself is through play. And so when you play and you connect with other children, you illuminate a new collective and you birth a new collective of the slaved inner child, which has been running this planet for a long time, consumed and eaten, or the resurrection of the inner child, which will save the world. And that is who you are. So play, laughter, abundance, freedom, creation, all of those things that children do is what you are being urged to do through your higher self, because that is going to be how you imagine. I imagine my nation, an army of magicians, right? I am creator into a new world that you will get to enjoy, and other people who are collectively entangled with that belief within you will be right there with you. And the fractal versions of those ones you want to see, because it's your story, will be on the other end too, right? You don't have to leave people behind. If they go, it's their choice. We can save this world. We are saving this world. Love has already won. The end is here. It's already done. We're actually in the cleanup phase of this war. But the healing hurts worse than the wound, guys. So we're in the healing phase of this. We're taking our power back. So don't get lost in your own warrior energy and trying to fight against, fear. You have to love it. You have to step in your power. You have to be courageous. You have to be disillusioned. You have to become disillusional in order to move through this energy. So one of the things, and this is going to sound really silly, one of the things that my inner child whispered yesterday to me was that everything is frequency and vibration. So music is a frequency and vibration. Your voice is a frequency and vibration. The energy coming out of your eyes is a frequency and vibration. The movement of your body is a frequency and vibration. The 3-foot energy field that maxes out at 6 feet when you're not meditating is a frequency and vibration. So how can we echo the vibration out to the other children, right? So I know a lot of my community is speaking light language, which is the original language of the soul. And so I'm going to give you guys a challenge. Don't sit around and meditate for love. Actually be proactive and turn on your frequency and vibration to the max level and really echo your voice from your heart space out and send an SOS of raising the vibration to the inner child out into the world. Okay. And it was funny because one of the things that I used to do to calm myself down as a child was I used to talk into the fan, right? And I know you did it if you're in my generation. If you're younger, you're like, what the heck? But if you're my generation, you talked and sang into a fan, like a box fan or an air conditioner or something. And it created an echo effect of waves. Well, yesterday I was really inspired after I did a little ceremony for the Lionsgate with myself, I sat in front of the fan and I did light language, and it echoed out, and I could feel it moving and moving and moving and moving. And I looked at the clock and it was 6 p.m. Now, I'm not going to go into numerology right now, but 6 represents a positive and a negative frequency. And when you triple it, it can get really dark. So at 6 p.m., I invite you to play with me, no matter what 6 o'clock it is to go to your nearest box fan or air conditioner and do your light language into that fan. If you do not speak light language, sing your favorite lullaby and send it as a message of light to all the children in the world. It will help raise their vibration. And when their vibration is raised, they will remember how to get free. They will also be able to send the information to other heart chakras who let them all know where they are. And we can end this, because I'm going to tell you, we have to reach critical mass in our frequency and vibration to get the major help that we're looking for. Some of you guys are asking me when disclosure is going to happen, when are our unseen friends going to show up. They are mostly here, but they cannot become embodied until the fear temperature drops, because fear keeps them away because the atmosphere is too dense. So imagine a fish can't live outside the water, right? A bird can't live underwater. If I am the inner child and housing a body, I can live in this physical plane. But if my vibration is higher than this, I can't reside down here. So what our job is to do is raise the vibration and make it viable atmosphere for our unseen friends to show up and help us, guide us through this cleanup process, because we really do hold all of this power within ourselves. And this is not crazy talk. In 5 years, you'll look back and be like, that's what we needed to do. That's what we did. That's how it worked. Because looking at the end of this from a futuristic place of your higher self and feeling the feelings that love wins. And what do I actually have in my toolbox? I have my voice, I have my songs, I have my dance, I have my celebration, I have my light, and light speaks to other light. It illuminates. Light is information. So when I send light out of my body, it is getting to every child in the universe, and the inner child will save the planet. And it is exactly who we came here to save, was the child. All right. So thank you guys so much for allowing me to give you this message from 3 different perspectives: your ego, your higher self, your inner child. I hope you sit with yourself and make choices from a new space of love and creation. Do not make choices from what you see around you. Use your time, which is your currency, wisely to create. And I understand you want to be informed, but if it drops your vibration and moves you into a person and place and thing that you don't want to be, you don't have the ability to decide what your life is going to look like this time next year. And if you get disillusioned and you drop in to the heart and the gut, and you remember through the feeling space, and you turn the mind down and I say, ego, your job is going to come later. You're going to be my higher self's personal assistant. You're going to be the true parent, not the sociopathic parent of the inner child. You can come play with us too, and the full integration will happen, and the resurrection of the Christ consciousness will create a new reality on planet Earth that is so beautiful. And I know some of you have seen it in your meditations, so beautiful that we will forever be honored to be able to be here at this time and now. So if you guys are interested in seeing that webinar that I did, it's about a total of like 3.5 hours, and it's only part 2. I have a third part that I'll be adding to it. That is available in my subscription group. It's a private group on my website. You can reach out for more information. If you want to join my team and be part of this global force that we are creating, world tours, online classes, full academy, please reach out to me if you're ready to go down that rabbit hole with me. Otherwise, have a fantastic day. Don't forget to play 6 o'clock. Sing a song into your fan, echo it out, set a really big intention to allow your voice to be heard underground, because we are going to win this. We have this power. The inner child is all we need, with the collaboration of the higher self, which is the I am. And I will see you guys all in class this week.